What's up, everybody? The Hamilton musical has had an unexpectedly profound impact on me. Through the power of music, I was suddenly compelled to look up who these men, our founding fathers, actually were. After my 8-part series was over, I continued to read up and all about everyone, almost everyone involved, only because I haven't gotten to everybody yet. This episode, I'm going to explore the real Aaron Burr. Wait for it. But before we get started, be a pal, click like on this video, subscribe to my channel. While you're there, hit the bell for notifications so you get updates about future episodes. Aaron Burr lived to be 80 years old, and he lived, well, in my opinion, a pretty weird life. From orphan to father, from senator to vice president to duelist. And there's even a story of a would-be emperor and charges of treason. But he did do some good, though. He was, in his early career, was always on the right side of everything. He fought for women's rights, he fought for immigrants' rights, and he generally had a pretty good career until he didn't. Aaron Burr was born February 6th, 1756, to a hoity-toity family in New Jersey, but was quickly orphaned by the age of 2 when, in quick succession, his parents and grandparents died, one right after the other. He and his sister were placed in a home and remained there until their Uncle Tim came and took custody of them. But that wasn't fun, because apparently Uncle Tim was abusive, and Aaron tried to run away several times. One time even procuring a job as a cabin boy on a ship, but before they could set sail, Uncle Tim went and pulled him off that ship. Aaron was accepted at Princeton by the age of 13 and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree by the age of 16. Now this happened in 1772 according to records. So that means that if he were 16 in 1772, when he met Hamilton in 1776, he was 20, and that would put Hamilton at 21 or so. So these guys were arguing for 28 years before finally Aaron Burr was like, you know what, dude, I'm sick of your mouth. I challenge you to a duel. And then, well, we know how that played out. Burr married Theodosia at 24. She was 36. Now, a year later, that's like 1781, if we're keeping track, they had a daughter who they named Theodosia. I guess they weren't very creative with the naming back then, were they? Now, this next sad part will probably make you hear Dear Theodosia from Hamilton quite a bit differently from now on. Theodosia Alston Burr died at 29, lost at sea from a shipwreck. After having lost her 10-year-old son to malaria, she was overcome with depression and grief and boarded a ship to New York to see her father and was never seen again. Now, to dive a little deeper into this, Theodosia, his wife, died from stomach cancer in 1793. They had a 3-year-old daughter after Theodosia who also died. So let's tally that up. His parents died, his grandparents died, his wife dies, his daughter dies, his grandson dies, and then his oldest daughter dies. Jeez, this guy had it rough. So after the duel in 1804 that killed Alexander Hamilton, Burr fled to the South where he stayed with friends until eventually the charges in New York were dropped and he could go and finish his term as vice president. After that, Jefferson edged him out and he was essentially a social and political pariah. But he fancied himself an emperor and he sought to make himself just that. The Louisiana Territory's borders were under dispute from the Spanish and Americans, but nobody living there particularly wanted to be American or Spanish. So Burr was like, enter me, in parentheses, and attempted to gather a small army, having a little bit of success recruiting General James Wilkinson. But rumors spread fast, and eventually Burr's plans were public knowledge, and Wilkinson got cold feet and backed out. So rather than become an emperor, Burr was charged with treason. And Jefferson really tried to make these charges stick, but the Supreme Court Chief Justice John Marshall hated Jefferson. So he refused to, go through with that and let Jefferson bully him into, convicting Burr. So eventually, Burr was acquitted. But the damage was done. His reputation would never recover. He even had to leave the country entirely for several years. And he came back, but he lived his life in obscurity, just, practicing law, but to no avail. By the 1830s, Burr had fallen so far that he married a wealthy widow just to have access to her huge fortune. That obviously didn't work out, and they separated 4 months later, and she filed for divorce. He contested it, because obviously he still needed the money. But Burr died broke and financially dependent on the charity of whatever friends he had left. He suffered several strokes and became increasingly debilitated toward the end. He died September 14th, 1836, in Staten Island, New York. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Before you go, be a pal. Click like on this video and subscribe to my channel. While you're there, hit the little bell for notifications so that you get updates about all future episodes. I'll see you next time.